All right, so now we have 16 people. I hope the rest are going to come. Anyway, everyone registered will receive the recording, so let's get started. We're glad to meet you today at Ingenious webinar. We are here to discuss the important topic for test automation engineers. It's test automation metrics. So meet our speaker for today, Yulia Koronevskaya. Yulia is an expert in test automation and as that in our team. But today I found out that Yulia had a teaching experience. Is it true, Yulia?
Yeah, thanks. Some teaching experience in the past. And
I
hi,
hope
guys.
you will use this experience today to teach our students metrics. So the stage is yours.
Yeah, I will try to do my best. And hi, guys. It's a pleasure to have you here today. Hope it will be a pleasure for you as well, as I'm going to speak about my personal pain in automation and the solution I found to cope with it. It took me a while to understand and process an issue of stagnation at the position of automation tester, and now I want to share with you a simple way to grow fast in your career. In today's webinar, I want to discuss the topic of metrics as a way to move up the career ladder for an automation tester. If you think about how many ways an automation tester has to advance, you will not remember many of them. And most likely, many of us miss such an important tool for our growth as metrics. And let's talk about it today. And I promise at the end, you will have a clear roadmap on what to do in order to be that person on the project whose value is no doubt. And I have divided today's topic into several blocks. Let's go through them. They are biggest challenge for QAs in automation testing, outdated way to show AQAs achievements, and effective way to show achievements. Finally, metrics in automation testing, which metrics should be collected, and why metrics are important not only for AQAs. And let's start with the challenges that automation tester usually face. We will not talk about setting up an autotest process, writing auto tests and launching them on CI. Let's focus on something more global and important. I think you will agree that it is primarily transparency and value. As for developers who work next to us, for them transparency is absolutely not a problem. The finished product reviews, hopefully positive ones, and that's all, complete transparency. The value of their work is also easily assessed by the revenue in the business. And what do we have to easily show the transparency of our contribution and the importance of work for business? And you have to remember, it should be extremely clear for business to know what it receives from each participant. And of course, there are some ways to show our achievements. They can be called classic, but today they are considered more outdated. And we all did it, of course. It's keeping up proudly talking about the number of bugs, our autotest code, and of course, show off the autotest coverage. But these are not the numbers that business really requires today. Unfortunately, no one cares about the number of your tests, the number of bugs. What we need indeed is the numbers that really will speak up for themselves. And now we are close to the key point. Business needs metrics, numbers that finally show our transparency and value. And now let's take a step back and discuss important work that should be done before setting up the process of collecting metrics for auto tests. Firstly, it's clear understanding from your side and from the side of the whole team why automation is needed. There are two main points and which can clearly explain the need for automation. The first is to free up partially manual testers so that they can devote more time for regression, for testing new features, for focusing on main functionality. And the second is there is sometimes zero possibility to test some feature by manual testing. And only when the team has a clear understanding of test automation importance, you can go to discussing and setting up metrics for your particular project. Today, we take up those metrics that will help you in your career, will help you to enhance the quality of the project and get the process of testing in the right direction. And a few words about what you need to take care of before the metrics. You need to have a clear roadmap for automation work and outline the numbers you expect from each area of metrics. The lack of understanding what you expect from metrics can make the automation process more a burden rather than a help. And now finally, let's discuss the metrics that are most often used on projects and have the greatest significance. Of course, there may be other additional ones. Everything depends on the project, but today let's take a look at the most important metrics. They are automation versus manual, pass-fail rate, flakiness report, and automation execution time. And automation versus manual. This metric should give us the complete transparency of how we can decrease manual regression cycles, so manual testers could focus on exploratory testing of new features, usability testing, ad hoc testing, how many test cases are repeatable and should be automated without any doubt, and how much time do we save for manual testing to exhibit the best results. Next, pass-fail rate. It allows you to see the real picture of what is happening with your test cases. This metric gives you answers to questions like how many of your test cases have passed? Is it the logic behind the script? Are there false failures? And if there are some reasons for false failures, you have to know which ones, like application changes, environmental issues, bugs, or stale tests. And then flakiness report. You should know as automation tester that the biggest problem with flaky tests erodes confidence in the whole testing process, unfortunately, and this can be the biggest problem you can face in your position. It means that you have to keep close eye and monitor the situation, and identifying flaky tests is the first step to getting them under control. The information you need to know about flaky tests to work with them afterwards are suite of run, test case itself, statuses, executed date, device, build, and operation system. Surely it's impossible to monitor all these parameters without reports of test runs. With a flakiness report, you can identify, and what is maybe even more important, isolate needed test cases to avoid undermined confidence in test automation. And automation execution time. Automated tests cannot run for hours. Duration is an important factor. And if the test cases are taking a longer duration to complete, they must be carefully debugged and optimized for speedy performance. The quicker the test case completes, the better it is. And parallel running of tests is one of the wise ways to cut off the execution time. If you have an issue with duration, take into account some parallel testing tools, and one of them would be Sift. We have conducted a detailed webinar on this topic some time ago, and as this is kind of out of scope of today's webinar, you're going to get the link of the previous webinar along with this one on emails after today's one. So now when we decided which metrics should be collected, the next step is to get reports to see the real picture, to demonstrate it to your team, managers, stakeholders, and so on. And the easiest and cheapest way is using Google Data Studio. And another one, another decision could be Grafana, which pulls data from a database. And for sending data to graphs, you have to have appropriate file formats. For those who use XCTest for iOS native testing, you can face some issues with converting files. For this, I personally can recommend Sift again as a tool which is used not only for parallel testing, but also it gives you results in different formats like JSON, TXT, XML, and XResult, of course. So guys, feel free to check it out on our GitHub. We have Sift for iOS and Android. And as I said, it's a great tool to just at least try. And now that we've discussed a lot, there are no questions about the importance of metrics by themselves. It gives us the complete transparency of what's going on with the testing process. Manual QAs can completely completely trust automation testing, and we can conduct regular audits and keep a relevant backlog. And if you understand the management system, you have to know that every manager had their own managers, and all of them need some relevant information about the current situation. And your mission is to provide your manager with all the details of the business process to make their life easier. And metrics is the best way to be informed and keep other people well informed on the project. And at the beginning of the webinar, I promised you to answer the question how to be that specialist, that expert in the business whose value is obvious. And now it should be clear for you that there are mainly just 3 key details. The automation value should be clear and transparent. It's your job to let other team members and your managers have zero concerns why business should spend a significant part of the budget on the testing department. Then process actualization, which makes it clear what is going on testing department and what are the current tasks you're working on, which part of tests are under test automation right now, and surely metrics that sum up all the process of testing and are able to answer any question of yours, your team, and your management. And I have to mention, for those of you who are real fan of automation and willing to try native iOS automation, we have a great course on Udemy, and you'll get the link and take time to check it and check the course content, reviews, and so on. And maybe it will be also the chance to advance in career. So thanks, guys, for your attention. Please don't waste time speaking about your achievements. Just instead show real proofs with numbers, just the personal advice from me. And if you have any questions, you can ask them right now.
Thank you, Yulia, for great presentation. Now it became more clear how to advance my career with having full reports with metrics. If there are any questions, guys, please ask them in Q&A section. We will wait for a few minutes if there is no questions, so we'll wrap up the session.
Yeah, if you have to ask something, you can just write down in the chat and we'll read it and try to answer to help with something.
While we are waiting, I should announce that we have a special discount for you for our course on the iOS test automation. And now it's half priced, only for 5 days. So please join if you're interested.
I hope there were a lot of information that people maybe have to take some time to think about it, about metrics, about like SIFT tool. As I said, you're going to get link in email along with this presentation, and maybe take time to think about it and then try some tools, try metrics, try advancing your career. Do you have any tips on how to track and report on time spent on manual QA with automated QA? As I said, the best way, of course, to track your time could be, again, some report tools, and there are a lot of them on the market. And as it kind of a little bit out of scope of today's webinar, maybe we will not like concentrate on something special, but a huge amount of tools on the market that can help with this. And thanks for a question.
Well, okay, I see there is no questions. Anyway, guys, please join our social media, Facebook, LinkedIn. Ask your questions if you have some. You will have the links in the follow-up emails, and you can just join us and chat with us anytime you want. Thank you for today's session.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Yeah.
Have a nice day, evening, depends on in which part of the world you are situated.